welcome to Beacons of Balance. I'm Arlene, Linda, and this is our guest speaker, Cynthia Smith. And we're here, we're going to continue on this month's topic of near-death experience. I want to welcome everyone here. Thank you so much for taking time. We're so grateful that you're taking time out of your day to either hear us, listen, or listen and hear see us all at the same time. So we're going to go on with continuing this month's topic, which is NDE, which is near-death experience. Of course, there's OB, which is out-of-body experience. And okay, welcome everyone. Here we go. So Linda.
Welcome. So I'm going to intro you, Cynthia. By the way,
Okay.
she's in heaven because you can tell with the sparkly
Yeah,
behind her.
she's not here. She's in another
She's
dimension.
in another dimension. So Cynthia was part of Dr. Kenneth Ring's IANDS group in Connecticut. Dr. Ring was one of the founding fathers of NDEs. 42 years ago, Cynthia's brother was in a serious car accident the night of her high school graduation and was in a coma for 4 days. 11 days later, Cynthia was in one of 6 passengers in a fatal car crash in Palm Springs, California. She was in a coma for over 2 weeks, told she would never walk again. And now here's Cynthia's story.
Yes.
Yeah. Your poor parents.
Yeah,
Your
for
poor
sure.
parents, you know?
How did your brother do, by the way? Is he still
He's
with us?
fine. I mean, he has some residuals because
Okay.
he had a little brain damage, but I mean, it's never interfered with a happy, healthy life. So
I
good.
never asked you, did your brother have an experience
no,
no? Okay. That he can't recall. Okay.
yeah, no, he never did.
Mhm.
And then many years later, my dad got cancer right on the table of surgery, and they brought him back to life. And he was so angry. He's like, "How come I didn't have a near-death experience? I wanted to. Why didn't God show up for me?" And I don't think it works that way.
When we
I mean,
talk about that some people, when they come back, there's a lot of the emotional stuff that goes around it, that they become depressed. They want to commit suicide. They don't want to stay here because they know what
yeah.
the other part is. And, you know,
It, my experience, I never really had that. I had my experience. I was in the light, and then I was brought back, and I didn't get a choice or a decision. Um, it just, I mean, I knew when I was in the light that I was alive, that I had a decision I could make, that I had a
Right.
life to lead. And so I don't remember like coming back into my body or anything like that.
Right.
It just, um, I was in a terrible car accident. So my brother had his car accident. He got out of the hospital. He walked me out. He literally was in a robe when I got into this truck that ended up in the big accident. He was very serious with me, but I got him like this for the sunlight, whew, blinding me. Um, he said, that's funny, blinding me. So he was like, be careful, real serious, and got into this all drinking and driving. I mean, I could have been driving that car, right? And I used to blame the driver. Initially I was like, this happened because of drunk driving. I was drinking right next to. Why did I
did you hit another car, or what
we went
happened?
off the side of the road and
I'm sorry,
rolled?
what?
We
What?
went off the side of the road and
Oh, okay.
rolled. So drinking and driving, he veered on one side and became a Baja bug behind us. So there was something that made us like skid on the highway, and then we rolled to the right. And there was 6 of us, and one person was killed, decapitated from the back, from the yeah, from the when we were rolling, she flew out of the back, and she got the Baja bug and was literally decapitated.
Could you explain that you had told me you stopped and you were sitting where that girl was sitting is where you actually were sitting.
Yeah, we had just traded spots. So
They
that
traded
was,
yeah, because you got out to go to the bathroom.
yeah, we got out, we pulled over to go to the bathroom, which we did. And our way back, we decided that we were going to switch off. She was in the front, in the middle. I was with other people. And so she got in the back and I got in the front. And I don't remember any of it. I woke up in the hospital. after being unconscious like 2 weeks or longer. It was a while before I of anything. And then I woke up to a friend that I went to high school with, who I never talked to after this. That's the weirdest part because we used to hang around all together for years. So away from where I lived. So anybody who came to visit me had to drive like an hour, hour and a half at least. And so she came to see me. I was in intensive care. This is the first recollection I have of being, and I woke up to her like, oh my God, like hysterical, crying, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And it was so weird for me because I was like, what, like it was like a what she's panicking. Why is she panicking? And it was because um of this accident. I guess I looked really bad. Anyways, long story short, where she sat down, she only was allowed minutes. And at that point, there had been somebody with me all the time. So they would be telling people coming in, don't mention this, don't talk about that, blah, blah, blah. So she came in and started crying. Nobody told her, don't mention, right? Or don't mention Linda being deceased, because I asked about everyone but Linda. So they thought I wasn't ready to hear that she had passed. Well, she said to me while she was sitting there, is everything, I'm okay. But all along, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm in this hospital. Like, this is where my brother was the last I remember, right? And there's curtains around me, and I could hear the noises. And I tried to lift my arms, and they were couldn't really lift them very well. And I was in traction, and I was being pulled, and so all this stuff was going on in my head. Like, what is happening here? And she said, "Well, how's everyone?" She was very nervous, and I didn't look like, I was a scab. Like, this much of my hair was gone because I went through the desert floor, and my whole head, I had braces, thank God, or I wouldn't have any teeth. And I had like all kinds of scabs, not scabs, scars in my mouth from my braces. So I went really, really far in the desert floor and up and over a rock. My friend Kelly, who was alert during this accident, was running around looking. And they thought she was looking for Linda. So they were holding on to her because they knew Linda had been decapitated, right? These people who pulled over to help us. And nobody was looking for me because I was at the scene of the accident from rolling 7 or 8 times in the car. I got stuck in the car. And that's where I broke my neck, my back, my leg, my pelvic. So I wake up in the hospital. So imagine what my friend is like, you know, one giant scab, intensive care. She's crying. And I'm like, what the heck? And what's going on here? And so she said, well, I read in the paper Linda was killed. And I woke up. That's when I really like woke up. What? And she said, well, I got to go. My 5 minutes is up. And she left. I think she knew she was bringing something to my attention that I wasn't. I called the hospital nurse in. She came in, and I knew her name was Judy. It was the same name as my mom's, and I was like, Judy, what happened to me? And she said, I'll be right back. And I knew something was big, and she left. And then, and one of the girls in the car accident who had been at the hospital there, they were in the cafeteria when all this took place, came back and walked in. Both of them are crying. So I knew immediately that Linda was killed. That's when I panicked a little bit. I went into shock, and I was saying, what happened to me? What happened to me? My brother was, don't move, don't move. You broke your neck, you broke your back. Cynthia, you're in traction. Don't move. I was trying so hard, and it was a very sad time. And for the first time in my life, because I never went to church really my whole life, and I didn't, you know, religion was a crutch to my father. We never went to church, and we were never raised in a biblical fashion of any sort. And I said to them, I said, I need a minute. I need time, which they didn't want to do. They didn't want to leave. No, no, we're here for you. But no, I just need a minute. And they left. And I said in my head, I don't know, I might have said it out loud, is I need you, God, I need you now. And the most extraordinary thing happened to me. I was like in blackness. It was all dark. And then there was this light really far away, but the light was really far away in my stomach, real far back. It was a part of me in this light. And it was dark, but it started coming closer and closer and closer. And then it, boom, it was all around me. I was in the light, and there was just the most peaceful, loving, comfortable, safe. I mean, you can't put it into words. It's impossible. I butcher it. I feel like, so I'm in this beautiful light that I knew was God. It had to have been. It was God. There was like, it wasn't even that I knew or questioned it or thought about it. It just was, if that makes sense. I saw up to the left of me this huge, like I would say that it would be like the size of a redwood tree. Uh, Jesus was there, and he was floating, and he had his arms open, and his arms were flowing with light. Like it was so beautiful, and but it was clearly his face, clearly, and I just had all this telepathic information, and like I knew everything that ever was, that ever would be. I had calm stillness that I knew everything was perfect, just the way it was supposed to be. And I had like this knowledge that I'd never had before. I can't pinpoint it today. I can't tell you what it is, but everything will come up in my life and I go, oh, that was it. That was it. That was part of it. You know, um, like the book. I don't know if you guys have heard of the book Conversations with God.
Yeah.
heard
I used to sell it at the store. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my experience. What
Yeah.
that is very much the clear message I received from Jesus.
that you felt vibration in your soul energy.
Totally. Yep. And there's another book out that I don't remember the name of it, something paradigm, change your paradigm. It is kind of like The Secret, but just slightly different.
Yeah.
I don't really resonate with The Secret, but God and Change Your Paradigm is two books that, it's like that's everything I knew. So while I was in the near death experience, I had this, and I said, what happened to me? What am I to do with this? And I didn't say it. I mean, it's just like it was messaged back and forth. And he said, anything you want, you any day, anytime, forever and ever. Yeah, I've given that is your gift, basically. Words. And I said, well, if I walk with a cane, I'll be happy. And I think I chose because I felt that it would make the most impact in the world, rather that it would be and like my purpose, like to walk in the world with a disability on my face, And so I chose it, and I remember the words too, not exactly like if I said if I walk with a cane, I'll be happy, and he said, so be it. It's your choice. He told me at the time, you can heal yourself anytime you want.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can heal yourself anytime you want. And doesn't matter if it's like this or if you're, on earth, it's all yours at your disposal.
It's yeah, it's almost like that saying with Christ when he said Lazarus rise from the dead. So he was basically telling you that, right?
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I
Right.
mean, the weird thing is I didn't think I knew everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how else to explain it. And when I came out of that experience, I knew I was going to walk again. And back while I was in the light, before I don't want to just shut that whole like minimize that, because that's the most profound experience I've ever had in my entire life, and will remain the most profound experience I've ever had in my life. Because there's nothing nothing, and yeah, so life changing, and So also in the light, I had these like spirits. There was a lot of spirits around, greeting me. So good to see you. But they were no different. Like one wasn't like, oh, grandma, I'm so glad to be here. It wasn't like that. There was differential between love. Right. It didn't matter. It wasn't like it could have been my dad. I still would have been loved and adored in the same way that I loved and adored. It would not have had a different. And so there were spirits around me, greeting me, loving me, and four of them were connected. I mean, like literally surrounding me and connecting me. And um and somebody explained this once and I stole it from him, but it does sum up what the soul is like in heaven. And he said it's like a bottle of water, the clear bottle, and inside there's water. And that's what I saw. You could see also the light of them was vibrating, but it wasn't vibrating. It was kind of like motion of water, if that makes sense.
Like a lava lamp,
No, no,
pulsating?
no,
No,
just like
a wave, like waving,
movement.
movement. Yeah.
It was just energy, energy. That's the best I could um, put it. And so there were many of those, and they weren't in the form of a cross, but they were clearly like a cross. I don't know, you guys. It didn't matter, but they were souls. It was souls. And I knew that I had to come back. And I didn't going back now, bye, nothing like that. I just woke up in the hospital room. And there was more to that experience too, right? But it all in all, it changed my life significantly.
Well, you said, but could we go back? Because I know a little bit about your story. When you were in that experience, you said there were the entities that were close to you, and you knew without
I
knowing, but you knew who
yeah,
they were,
yeah.
right?
That two of those were my kids for sure. I have
But at
twin
the
boys.
time, you didn't know.
I
Did you
got to
know
tell you,
that?
no.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that couple things happened to me after that in the hospital that were miraculous, miraculous. Like even my doctors were like, I don't understand this. Wow. So they had me in traction on my neck and they had me in traction on my leg because I broke my femur. And so I had to have my back stabilized. I had to have back surgery. Then I had to have my back stabilized. Then I had to have my neck stabilized. I had one of those things that Christopher.
They
The
put the
halo.
halo.
I was literally,
You had the
uh,
halo, yeah.
by the way, horrible. So I had a halo for 6 months.
Oh
But
God.
it was all a process, right? But it took 6 weeks from the day of my accident to the day I had surgery on my left femur. I was in traction. My leg was an inch and a half apart, the bones. Well, the bones healed, which they could not make sense of because it was a complete break. And that bone is the biggest bone in our body, and sometimes it never heals. And it had healed completely. So rather than them, clean out the bone marrow and put it together so it's the right length, they left it and they put a plate and a pin in there. And so I had to go back and have it years later.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was great. Really fun. But yeah, that sucked. But
You didn't ask God for that one.
no, no. But so there's these weird things that happen. So when I went in for my surgery on my leg, they were like, what? They had no idea that that would have been healed. So my leg had healed, which the doctor thought was remarkable, miraculous. He could not make sense of that. Then another thing is like I had my car accident, my near death on July 2nd in 1982. That was when I was 18, right after I graduated. And 1994, on the same, I gave birth to twins. So I never wanted to have kids. And yes, I never wanted to have children. I got pregnant with my first husband and I was pregnant with twins. and because they were, and miraculously it worked out the way it did. But to me, when I was in the hospital, oh gosh, guys, I wish I had the time to tell you. So my car accident, yeah, there's so many things that it's like, whoa, what is this? I mean, so clearly I am here, I am here, I'm here. You're never without me. And, wake up because I was so young and so good because I didn't want to be religious and I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be weird. I didn't want people to think I was making this stuff up or on drugs. I didn't tell a lot of people because it was a weird situation. But yeah, so my mom and dad lived in Huntington Beach when I had my car accident. Um, and the car accident was 4 hours away from my house. Okay. So I ended up at Betty Ford Clinic Betty Ford Clinic. That's not where I was. Betty Ford Clinic is Eisenhower Hospital in Palm Springs. And Eisenhower Hospital is where I did my first 3 months of hospitalization. And then they sent me via helicopter to a spinal cord rehabilitation hospital in Fullerton, California. But Fullerton, California was a 45-minute drive where my parents lived. So in order for them to come and visit me in the hospital, it was, a big deal, right? Um, Fast forward 12 years later, I lived in England when I got pregnant. To my parents' house and looking up one of my doctors in Fullerton to see if I could, I wanted to check out. Am I okay here? Can I carry these babies? Um, Long story short, my parents had reached to Anaheim Hills. Well, now their local hospital is the same hospital I ended up in for spinal cord rehab surgery 12 years later, just by fluke. So on July 1994, when my kids are born, I wake up from having this baby. First of all, after I had my C-section, I woke up in my room. I was alone, and Linda, the girl car accident, was behind me. I knew she was there. I knew she was looking after me. Yeah, I just was like, and I was trying to look at her because I could see, I knew she was there with me, and she woke me up, and that was a really had the babies. But then that night, I'm laying in my bed and the fireworks are going off. And I'm like, how weird is this? 12 years later, I happen to be in the same hospital giving birth to the same day as my car accident after just really crazy stuff happened that just kept pointing in the direction of a lot more bigger things in life than me and us. Right.
Yeah.
But you
So
you knew the twins were those spirits that when you had that experience that's who they were. And you
abs-
and Linda was there too, right? She was one of the other spirits with you.
she really looked out for me for
Mhm.
Yeah.
was around me. Yeah. I don't get that sense anymore though. That kind of changed, I think, when my parents passed away. I don't know
Mhm.
if they passed the torch or if they're always your guardian angel. I don't know. Um,
Well, they can't change things, but they're vibrationally always there. I can never tap into my parents, and I'm a psychic medium. And I can read everybody else's deceased, but I can't read my own. So
I- why not? Why
I
is
don't
that?
know.
I
Mine
don't know.
came to me in dreams, not a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had a few
Yeah.
dreams, just little dreams.
yeah. I don't know what if yeah, I had too. That was really like wake up from
Yeah,
that.
profound.
Whoa, somebody was knocking at my that was not a dream, right? I had that once. But I really miss my parents.
Yeah.
Um, but also here's something that they did for me. Check this out. So fast forward. Do you guys want me to stick to my near death experience or should I
No,
tell you?
tell us about your parents.
Okay. Okay. Um, They both passed away. I bought the house from the estate. I moved to California in 2015. I'm living in their house. They both died of small cell undetectable lung cancer. That's another story. But in their home, knowing that the small cell undetectable lung cancer, they lived on this hill down below a highway. So it had a view of Orange County. It's a beautiful house and it was full of them. Knew that there was a reason why they passed away of cancer. And so I was driving home from my work one day and I was just kept getting this sense I shouldn't be in that house. I shouldn't be in that house. Like maybe there's some kind of, rock. What's that? Is out of
Oh,
rocks?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I'm like, so I just put it out there. And I said, Mom and Dad, I talked out loud. If you guys are here, if you want me out of that house, it is going to be so obvious to me for 1 second that I shouldn't be in that house. And I'm going to leave this to you. I have faith in this, blah, blah, blah. I get home and I'm thinking, I got to move out of this house. It's this house. It's this house. So I called a friend of mine whose husband was a real, what's the market like? And he said, I'll send you some comparables. So he sends me some comparables. And I'm like, I think I want to put the house on the market and get out of here. And he goes, okay, well, we talked about it. Anyways, the next day he calls me. The next day he calls me and says, there's a person who just put an offer on a house that's exactly like yours in that neighborhood, but it doesn't have the view. And they would like to come where they finalize this sell. And I said, I'm not ready to sell this house. He said, well, they just want to look. So I said, oh, all right. So they came over and looked at the house, which is, I got an hour later, and they would like to buy your house for X amount of money if you leave within 30 days.
Wow. There's your
I mean,
sign.
Oh, did you ever find out what was wrong with the house?
no, I didn't. I did not. Never.
But you thought it was like radon,
Well, it is
something.
either right or because they lived below, there was a highway, pretty
Yeah,
prominent highway down here that the air. Well,
yeah,
my dad was a jogger. He jogged every day. He was very fit.
yeah.
It could have been part of that. I don't know, but I just got this sense it's the
Wow.
house. And it was the next day, and there was no denying. Okay, I was
Damn.
like, "You're with me. You got
Yeah.
me. Okay, thank you." I mean, and I had them with me very strongly for many years, and I don't so much anymore.
Well, they
And
ascend. I had a girlfriend that died of leukemia at 17. I used to know where her gravesite was. Sometimes I couldn't find it. I'd yell for her and she'd say, I'm over here. And I'd go over and visit her. And then I had a 100-year-old friend die, and I went to the funeral service, which is in the same graveyard. And I thought, while I'm here, I'll stop off and see Terry. Might as well. And I went over to the spot that I remembered that she used to be, and I'm looking, I couldn't find her. So I yelled out for her, and she didn't answer me. And I yelled out again, and a man said, as clear as day, she has ascended. So I thought, because she was sort of a saint on earth, even though, she only died at 17. So then I called the mortuary and asked where her grave was located, and I found her, and there was a new grave right next to her, and it was her father. I don't
oh,
know if he was the one that told me she has ascended, but she's ascended. So sometimes, depending on who they were in this world, sometimes they ascend pretty quickly.
it's funny you should say that because when my dad died, my dad got cancer. That was so shocking to us because he was the healthiest of all of us. Grandkids, you name it. My dad was serious about his health.
Yeah.
And for him to get this cancer and die, it was such a shock. And I was in so much, I was grieving so heavily that when my mom passed away, I couldn't, if that makes sense. I couldn't be
Whoa.
sadder than I already was. And when she passed, I kissed her on the cheek. I kissed, in fact, both of them. Like my dad passed away. My mom woke up and said, Cindy, I think your dad passed away. And closed his eyes and his mouth because he died in his sleep. And then, and I said, whispered to him, go find the light, Dad, look for the light. And then when my mom passed away, wild story, but I won't get into it. She passed away, and immediately I whispered, Mom, go find the light. And I had in my head, I couldn't see it. It was an image in my head of my parents just dancing together, and boom, off they went.
Boom. Off
And
into paradise.
And I firmly believe he was not going anywhere without her. He
Yeah.
was, they were married some odd years and they were madly in love. And I'm so glad that she went because she didn't belong with me. She
No.
belonged. So
But how old were they when they died?
my dad was 70, 70.
They were still young. Yeah.
Young, I mean, and healthy and in love and active, great people.
And how long was the period between mother and father that they
My
passed?
mom died August 2011. My mother died on January 1st, 2012.
Oh,
So
Wow.
not even,
so
Close
yeah,
by.
it was close.
yeah.
Did your mom say if he came to visit her?
No, I never about that. I never asked her stuff like that. I didn't say, Mom, she had brain cancer. So she had it in her lungs, but it went to her brain.
Oh, yeah, that's nasty.
But she didn't have a lot of, I mean, we're really blessed. Brain cancer death like that you have. She didn't have any seizures. She didn't, but she did hold on for a week to see her sister who never showed up. And when her other sister came and said she took her last breath and died right there.
Wow.
She held on for
Did you share your NDE with your parents? Did they know?
everybody. Yes.
We just had a doctor on that she held it for a number of years because she just thought, people think, a lot, as you know, Cynthia, people think you're crazy or something like that. But now, how did this? Let me ask you something because we went across, we highlighted things that people go through when they come back after an NDE. A lot of people go through a severe depression. Sometimes people want to just commit suicide. They don't want to connect anymore with society. It affects their relationships, as I'm sure you know, because you used to be part of the IANS group, and people would end up getting divorces because the other partner couldn't handle the change in them. Did you go through any of that?
I never had that
No.
because I knew that I was meant to live. I mean, live, if that wasn't meant to just exist. I
Did
was
it
meant to,
interfere with your relationship
um,
with your
well,
husband at the time?
it was hard for me to assimilate what I knew love in everyday life. I still find it hard, difficult to like. I feel like alone in my knowledge. There was a light that shined in me that most people don't have, and that was called the light of God. A light, a desire, hope and happiness and joy that a lot of people eh, naturally have.
We all have it in us, but the thing is, they say when we come in here, we're escorted in by our angel. And this is why we have, see under our nose and top of our top lip, we have that indentation. It's where they put their finger and they go, shh. In other words, we come in, we have all the knowledge because we're coming, right, from there. But then it's like taken away from us. And that's what this indentation is like, shh, you don't talk. I say a lot of us are, everybody's sleepwalking, like people aren't awake. So what's happening now is, people are waking up now and becoming
Yeah.
aware, more aware.
It's hard
How's
to.
your pain with your neck and your hip and everything?
I never had pain in my neck.
Really? No arthritic?
I have
That's a
arthritis.
miracle.
I have arthritis and in my back. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
have to have shots. But I'm going to start working on my paradigm, shift my unconscious. I'm going to start doing something I've never done before. It's going to be a very um, intense self reflection on the spirit inside of me, that the God inside of me. Ever since my near death experience and coming out of it, when you're telling somebody, like I didn't tell just anybody, by the way, many people. I was probably married with my husband for my first husband. I don't know how long we were together before I told him about my near death experience. Um, but when I first had it and I came out, I'm in the hospital and people are like, oh my, because everybody talks in the hospitals. They knew there were twins in the hospital when I had twins, stuff like that. And they would come to me with their Bible and they'd read me verses. And I knew exactly what they were reading me I knew the verse, understood the story, and I never had a formal any education on religion at all.
Me too. My parents were atheists. Yeah. And I woke up saying the Lord's Prayer, fighting a demon. And in consciousness, regular consciousness, I didn't know the Lord's Prayer. But in the dream fighting the demon, I knew it.
How would you? Oh gosh, I want to hear your story.
I
How
wrote a book about it. It's coming out in March.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah.
I'll get it. I'll definitely get it.
We'll get your address. I'll send you a copy.
I'd love one. That would
Sure.
be awesome. So you know what I'm talking about. For people who have near death experiences, it's hard to put these things into words. It's hard to express the depth of beauty and love. It's like,
Well, as a medium, I tell people if I could bottle up what your loved one is feeling over there, if I could bottle it up and pour it on you, you would not mourn another day, not another second, because it's paradise. And those of us who have been touched are know what's over there, and it's like you want to announce everybody, look, it's right there, you can grab it. But people choose to suffer. It's really weird. And like they always say to me, Linda, life is for the living. Get out of your own way and move forward and know that we're always with you.
I'm so glad you said that because that's something after my parents died, I got so depressed. I was in, I, I never, okay, I will never forget my near death experience and the impact, never, okay, because it was huge, life changing. But when my parents died, and especially the way it happened and went about, I lost touch. I stopped praying. I stopped connecting. I just couldn't go there. It wasn't because I didn't believe in God. I always will always believe in God. I always believe in the light. But I couldn't, I think I was just in such deep grief. I couldn't, the two just didn't meet.
But don't beat yourself up about it because they've told me too. Sometimes when I'm trying to tell someone, oh, you know, your loved one, they say, allow them the grief. You have to go through grief. But there was a woman that I had read that she had a husband of 17 years that treated her horrible. And she finally left him. She escaped thinking that there was nobody out there for her. She meets a beautiful man. He's fantastic. 7 months, she had nothing but joy, joy, joy. It was like a dream come true. And then he died in his sleep. So she was mourning and crying. And she said, Linda, I just couldn't function. And one day I heard an angel say to me, are you crying because he's gone? Or are you crying because he's alive and you're not? So they're more in the hot collective consciousness on the other side. And they look at us, they're sorry we feel that way.
Yeah.
But they're also kind of like, yeah,
You're
but
gonna
if you knew where I was, you wouldn't grieve.
totally, totally believe that. I feel like, so making sense, being 18, having an experience like this and trying to make sense of that in my life was very overwhelming. Oh, and being able to walk. I mean, I didn't walk for 3 years. I was having
Yeah.
surgery but I knew I was going to walk. I knew it.
And that's something.
It's remarkable. I mean, you're walking and then you're married and you have children and you have twins. I mean, that's an incredible, incredible story.
It was God knocking on my door.
There's a reason for all of this. There's a reason for it.
Absolutely.
We don't get it, but I mean, my first message that I got was the key to unlock all the mysteries is love. It's one simple word. It's about love. We do everything from that source, and that source is love. And I mean, I think we could all reflect on our own personal agendas and stuff that we go through every day. Whatever we do, whatever actions we take, if it's not coming from that place and that light, it's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It falls apart. Something, you know what I mean? But if you just give it the freedom, the light to it, it just flourishes.
It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard, especially with people with rough lives that probably never had unconditional love. Because that's
Yeah.
unconditional love over there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why a lot of them will go over. They don't want to come back there in manna in heaven. But the grief and that feeling alone is very, very strong. And my guides are always telling people, hey, you're never by yourself. We're always with you. So there's some
Mhm.
comfort. And if you don't feel it, if you're not understanding it, or you still feel those despondent feelings, hand it over. You don't have to take this on. Tell them, help me to help myself, and then wait for it. Don't overthink things because you cause what they, you go into a state of resistance. Just say, help me help myself, and then allow, and
And
then
I
wait for what happens.
and I always say, Linda, that's the form of prayer also, because we put things out there, but then we end up taking it back.
Taking it back.
You
Yes.
know what I mean? And when we take it back, we don't allow them, or we give mixed messages.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we give mixed messages. My husband's going through this right now because, he wants to retire kind of, so to sell the business, but then he doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So I said to him the other day, I said, you're like a rubber band, it's going back and forth. I go, yes, I want to, but no, I don't. So I said, how's that going to manifest if you're doing it that way? It doesn't happen.
Paradigm thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's really about how we get stuck in our habits and we're unconsciously failing because we're not changing our habit formation and our
Yes.
thought, instead of moving, I can't do this. I have a disability. I can't, right? Oh, I'm not good enough for that. You have to change the habit of what you're talking because that's why we create patterns.
Exactly.
Well, they
Yeah.
say what's insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah.
You have to change it. You kind of have to get outside the box. So anyway, how could you wrap it up as far as what you walked away with from this experience, as far as, because this is about balance. So how would it, from where you were and balancing it out?
I balance my day to day. I'm human. Ultimately, God's put me here to learn some things. I've got some things to do and, figure this. And so I balance my life out by trying to love and be loved. And that's why my job is perfect for me. Um, and um, I like I will talk about my experience regardless of what somebody else may think how crazy I was or drug infested I was or whatever. I speak about this because I have a voice and some people can't death experiences. And I will be the voice because it needs to be known that there is a loving, loving, loving God. And
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what this is all about. That's what this channel is all about. Because as you said, we don't have a voice. If people don't want to talk about things, they still keep it to their chests. They don't talk about it. And that's the era that I grew up in. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about
You don't. Me too. With
we
my
didn't talk about anything. I tell the story that, my father, I remember my father telling, and I was a kid, he said, we're Democrats. He said, and don't you tell anybody. I didn't know what the hell a Democrat was. I thought we were in the mafia. I didn't know. I never knew what it was. They never explained anything.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it was crazy.
oh, well.
So Cynthia, thank you for taking time
Thank you, Cynthia.
out of your day, and you're beautiful, and you're just going to continue on. And
And
Linda,
you're a light worker.
Cynthia wants to start like a business with taking challenged individuals, right, with challenges on traveling and travel.
Invented a television series called The Freedom to Travel. And it's where somebody with a disability goes somewhere in the world. So you're interviewing them and their disability, but you're taking them to an accessible location so that the general society is reducing their stigma, learning more about people with disabilities, and also being able to go on a vacation if you wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, great.
wonderful. So we're putting it out there. It's being sent out.
Yeah, that's where my real heart lies. And that's
There you
kind of,
go.
yeah.
Thank you
So
for taking time to be with us.
thanks for
And
having
as always, Linda, what do you want to say? That
I want to say, be the change you want to see.
be the change you want to see. And from our hearts to your hearts, always in love, peace, joy, balance. Everybody, thank you for watching, seeing, and listening. And we love you guys. We're growing, and please subscribe. Keep us going. And we'll see you
Keep
the
us
next
going.
time. Keep it going. See you the next time. Bye, honey. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.